Hi, I'm Scott Kline. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I was a law student here from 1985 to 1988, and I'm happy to be back running the Boston Marathon for the second time after a 37-year break.
What inspired you to run 50 marathons in 50 states?
Well, it wasn't something that I just woke up one day and decided, oh, this would be a good 10-year project. I ran Boston with two very good friends of mine when we were 23. That was 1987. And when I turned 50, I decided that I wanted to try to do another marathon. And the goal was to eventually get good enough that I could qualify and come back and do Boston one more time. So, but that was kind of a long-term goal because to qualify for Boston was going to take me a while, and I wasn't fast enough when I got back into this. So, my wife and I started going to some iconic races that we thought would be fun, like we did Chicago, we did New York City, we did Big Sur, and over time, I had just covered a lot of the country and was really enjoying the process of meeting people in places that I never thought I would go. And so that kind of quest to discover what was going on in these small towns and try to figure out if maybe the country wasn't as divided as the news would have you believe is what kind of inspired me to keep going and ultimately to do all the states.
That's amazing. So what's your favorite state and marathon that you've run?
So I doubt anyone else will have this answer. My favorite state and marathon was Iowa, and it was a race in a little town called Shenandoah, Iowa. The race maybe had 60 people, and if you can picture we were running on, I think, what had been a railroad track that they had cleared out and turned into this trail. And it was basically just 13 miles out running on this dirt railroad trestle in cornfields. Like, you guys are too young to remember the movie Field of Dreams, but it was like running through Field of Dreams with, somebody saying, if you build it, they will come. It was just a weirdly idyllic, peaceful experience, and no one's ever heard of this race. And that was that to me. I think what I ultimately liked about it was, it wasn't about the crowds, it wasn't about the qualifying, it wasn't about the medal, there wasn't any of that. It was just like running alone with your thoughts in this beautiful place and feeling really happy that I had the opportunity to do it. So I've done a lot of big races, but I think that one was my favorite.
That's so cool. So, do you have any training tips or tricks?
Well, my biggest training tip is don't stop until the finish line. And I know that sounds funny, but actually the statistic of my racing that I am most proud of, that like no one ever cares about, is I've run 60 marathons. I've probably run 200 half marathons or 10Ks or things, and I've never DNF'd. I've never not finished. And I think getting into that groove where even when you're in a lot of pain, you can somehow just keep telling yourself to keep going, I think is a really, really important skill. Now, my doctor would probably say there's a point where you should quit. But I have three grown kids now, and I would say that watching them and watching their friends, like the best piece of advice I could give them was like, find that grit that, even when you feel like you're exhausted and there's no point going on, you can kind of push through that. And when I learned that, I think it helped me in a lot of other areas of my life when they became challenging. So I don't have great training tips of like how to go faster. I'd love to know how to do that. But I think but I think I got to be pretty good at just kind of pushing through things, which honestly is not unlike, what I remember about being in law school here. It's just like it's a grind and it's no fun most of the time, but you feel like if you can push through it for 3 years, there's going to be something worthwhile at the end. So, yeah, I think that's it. Just sometimes it hurts, and you just got to try to keep going.
Just make it to that finish line. So do you have any reflections about Boston specifically and what it means to come back here?
That's a really great and poignant question, and I've been thinking about it a lot. So, as I said, I ran Boston with two friends of mine. It was kind of a fluke. This was back in the day where they really didn't have enough people to fill up the race. They probably had a couple of thousand people who had run other marathons and were qualified. And then, like, me and these two friends were in a running club at the law school, and the Boston Athletic Association people came by and were like, hey, we got 10 bibs if anybody wants to run, just come, which is now, people are killing themselves to try to get into this race. So, and we're like, oh yeah, we'll try it. So I ran it with these two friends, really interesting guys. One is named Ken Abbey, and he is now a doctor. He's an anesthesiologist in Portland. And the other guy is named Ted Chervin, and he's like the most successful agent in Hollywood. He's the head of Creative Artists Agency, and an amazing guy. Anyway, the reason I mention them is because I think what appealed to us about the race, given what happened later in life, is none of us followed the traditional law school path. I went into business, Ted went into entertainment, Ken went into medicine. And so I did reach out to those guys a couple of years ago and try to convince them to come back and do this with me. And they very politely declined and said, we'll cheer you on, but no thanks. But we've stayed in really close touch, and it's a really nice connection to have. And so when I thought about coming back to Boston, I didn't know it would take me this long. I've been running marathons now for about 10 years, and it's only recently that I've gotten good enough that, given my age group and my times, that I could qualify to come back. But as I've gotten closer to this, and now we're at this weekend, I find myself really emotional, and I think it's because I can't think of any other thing that I've done in my life where you did this one thing when you were, in your 20s. And now at age 60, I'm going to do the exact same thing, same course, same start line, same finish line. And so I think there's no way not to be self-reflective about, when I did this the first time, I wasn't married, obviously didn't have any kids. My whole career was in front of me. And now, 40 years later, my life isn't over, but it's a lot more backward looking than forward looking. So for me, I think this will be a really emotional experience because it's kind of a bookend to something I did when I was young. And I'm really, really appreciative and excited to kind of savor this. I probably won't. I don't know if I'll do any other marathons after this. I probably won't do Boston ever again. And so it just feels really special to be able to come back here and to have the opportunity to do this, do this thing that I did when I was really young. So I hope I can get through the next couple of days without breaking down, but it's very poignant to be back here and, downtown and see the finish line. And of course, there have been all kinds of things that have happened, the bombing, and it just feels like a lot. This doesn't really feel like any other race. And as I mentioned, it's really not like any other race. Last year, I was doing my Rhode Island marathon, and I was in Providence. And we finished the race. We finished at the State House. There were probably 1,000 people. And I was walking back to my hotel, and this guy pulls up in his car, rolls down his window, and he's looking at all the people, and he goes, "Hey man, what's going on over there?" And I said, "Oh, we just finished a marathon, and we're in Providence." And he goes, "Oh, the Boston Marathon?" And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I finally just said, "No, we're in Rhode Island, and that would be a really, really long race, but thanks." And then he just rolled up his window and drove up. So yeah, there's all the other marathons, and then there's Boston, and that's, it has a unique place in everybody's heart and culture. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
It really does. Okay, so one last question then. What is the first thing that you're gonna do when you cross the finish line after the Boston Marathon this year?
Boy, I haven't allowed myself to think about that. When I finished the 50 states, which I finished in October, that was I've now seen pictures and videos of me finishing. I don't remember anything. I was just completely out of it. But I was like kissing the ground. I feel like for this, because I really want to savor the experience and not try to, I don't have a time goal. It's more like I think I'm just going to want to have some time alone. I feel like I'm going to want to get through the finish line, see my wife, see a few friends, and then I feel like I'm going to need 30 minutes just to sit and reflect. I mean, it just kind of feels that big. So yeah, I think it'll be, when I finished the 50 states, there were a lot of people around, and the organizers of the race made a big deal out of it. And they gave me a plaque and they did interviews and stuff. But I feel like this time I just kind of want to reflect, and then I want to I want to talk to Ken and to Ted. They'll both be standing by, and that has been such an important experience for us. I kind of want to, talk to them right after it's over.
Yeah, but this one's for you. That's awesome. That's so awesome.